And we are live on the United Public Radio Network, UPRN 107.7 FM New Orleans and 105.3 FM on the Gulf Coast. How cool is that? And we are also being live streamed wherever podcasts live. So we're not hard to find, including my YouTube channel. So go there and subscribe. To all those above me that watch over me, to all of you, my fave parapeeps on this side of the veil, welcome. This is Father Shawn's Paranormal Ministry. I'm your host, Father Shawn Whittington. I'm an ordained Catholic priest with the United States Old Catholic Church. I'm a fully professed brother and abbot for the Old Catholic Benedictines of Immaculate Mary, team member with Society of St. Benedict, and co-founder of GhostBeGone.biz. And yeah, I'm that guy on Eli Roth Presents a Legion of Exorcists, streaming everywhere if you haven't caught it. If there's anything you want to know about my wife and I and our ministry work, go to our website, www.ghost-be-gone.biz. Everything's there. My books, go there and buy a book. My online course, go there and enroll in my course. Most importantly, brothers and sisters, if you go there to visit, a lot of cool things to see. But keep in mind, my wife and I don't charge for our ministry work, helping people with their paranormal issues. So if you notice the donate button and you're able to do so, click on it and send my ministry in a small donation. I promise you, it'll be appreciated from the bottom of our hearts. And trust me, we'll put it to good use. Okay, what do I want to tell you guys other than I have an awesome guest today? You all already knew that. That's why you tuned in. He's in the green room. He's going to be out here in just a second. But first, I want to bring out my awesome co-host. I've known her, it feels like forever. She's a good friend. I love her. I respect her. She is a lifelong paranormal experiencer. She is the owner of Stellium Books. She's my publisher. Please welcome to the show, Annette Munich.
Hello. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for the wonderful introduction.
You're welcome. It's heartfelt. You know I mean it.
I know. I appreciate you.
How are you today? You look very pretty.
Thank you for saying so. I'm very hot, and I'm hoping my makeup doesn't slide right off my face. You're probably not supposed to say stuff like that, right?
Yeah, that's okay. We're at like 100. We're about a week long into 115 every single day here in Vegas. They're even predicting Sunday might be like 119. We may set a record. So I feel you, sister. I feel you. But I think you'll be okay. Anything you want to announce to any of your fans and followers or stalkers before I bring out our guest?
I want to announce that I'm close to making announcements, but not quite yet.
Okay.
We've got some really good things going on behind the scenes, and
yeah, I know we
don't
do.
really have the timeline figured out on when it would all be available. So I'll just kind of let everybody know that some interesting things are coming.
Very, very cool. Very, very cool. And as soon as we know, we can throw out some definite timelines. We will make the announcements. I'm ready to bring out my guest. Are you?
I am so ready, and I'm really happy that he was able to come back and be with us again.
Well, he was here in March, and his episode quickly became a fan favorite. He quickly became a fan favorite. I was already a fan of his. I think he's super cool. I love him and respect him. And I'm also grateful that he accepted to come back. So you all know him and love him. He is a radio, TV, and film personality, an elite paranormal investigator, researcher, experiencer in his own right. And he's here to bring us up to date on all his research and phenomena he's experienced and where he's going. And the two shows you see him on all the time about Blind Frog Ranch and Skinwalker Ranch. So, brothers and sisters, without further ado, please give a big paranormal ministry family welcome to the one and only Jim Segala.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Jim. Welcome back. So happy to have you.
Yeah, thank you, Annette. And Dr. Father Shawn, thank you so much for having me. This is great to talk to your people and kind of get them up to speed of all the crazy things that's been happening in the experiencer world.
Yes, absolutely. I'm going to let Annette mess with you a little bit before I jump in, and then I'm going to throw you in the deep. I'm going to put your feet to the fire, throw you in the deep end without some your floaties on. You got my permission to
Yeah,
do any screen sharing you want to do, and I'm excited to hear what you got to do. But I know Annette's been wanting to chat with you, so I'm going to let you two chat for a little bit.
sure, absolutely.
Not the feet to the fire thing again. Every time he says that, it sounds so kind of a little bit on the harsh side. But just great having you back. I've been watching actually a lot of other programs about Skinwalker, which has been interesting, and a few interviews that I've seen recently with Brandon Fugel talking about all kinds of things. And I saw an episode about Skinwalker on Ancient Aliens, which is another show I like. And Giorgio called it the Disneyland of the Paranormal. I thought that was a very cute way to put it. So it seems like they've been talking about that an awful lot. Love that show. And also Blind Frog Ranch. That area isn't that far from Skinwalker.
No, it's actually quite close, and there's a lot of phenomena that happens in that whole valley,
Right.
coming down from the actual the mountain area on down. There seems to be an incredible amount of energy in that area, so a lot of people get affected. So there's a lot of very big, very profound experiences that people have, along that line. So we target a lot of that type of areas to pick up some of our data, and it's just a wealth of knowledge that we gather.
Is Blind Frog on the other side of the mesa?
No, it would be west, yeah. So it's a little bit above, so it's 20 miles north of it, and it's probably about 30 or 40 miles below the actual the valley of it. It's where the mountains are. So that's where all the Native Americans are, and there's a lot of synergy between the Blind Frog people and the Native Americans. So there's a lot of things going up there, a lot of energy, and you go there, and it's amazing because you kind of eat. You know how you get that where your hair stands up in the back of your neck, you just know something's weird's going on.
Right.
So there's a lot of that going on up there. I haven't been down lower in where the Skinwalker area is, but I can tell you that up where the Blind Frog people are, and there's another ranch up there that's also absolutely amazing that has so much phenomena. And I tell you, go there and you feel energized. You walk away from it, you feel amazing.
Wow.
That is very interesting. I was going to ask how many people go there and would prefer not to return, simply because some people, it's all over the chart how people react to that sort of stuff. I know
Right.
some people, they go to like Taos, New Mexico, and they have beautiful experiences, and some people, believe it or not, go there and don't have such good experience because, I don't know if it's, I guess it's their chemical makeup that reacts differently to that type of, energy
Right.
than some other people.
Well, you think about it. I mean, the way people react to, say, a picture or or music or something like that, the music is really designed to bring out your internals. And so whatever stuff's internal to you, it kind of brings it out and amplifies it, just like music does. So when you go to a place like that has a lot of this kind of energy, whatever's going around in your head at the time, or whatever things are going on in your life, seems to get amplified. And that's something that we look at when we look at the narratives people provide to us. We've got hundreds and hundreds of people now that every day give us these narratives of what's going on in their lives and what they're feeling, what's in their personal life. And it always comes down to the amazing thing is that, they feel that there's something going on, but every time I go to an area like that, it seems that it cascades until full blown experiences happen.
Do you think
It's funny. I'm sorry, go ahead, Annette.
Anything to do with energetic ley lines?
Well, there were actually, so the ley lines is, that's kind of a fictitious thing, probably invented by people that thought there was something, but we actually have established proof that there is something coming down off of the mountain area, down through that valley, through Blind Frog, through that whole thing. It just seems that every time you put devices along a particular area, along a line, it seems to be extraordinarily active. And when you kind of go off that line, it kind of dissipates a little bit. So it's very evident to us that there is an area or like a line that is going down through that basin that is very energetic. So I mean, it's very hard to prove ley lines, but I can tell you, definitively, we've captured enough data to show that there is a very concentrated line of energy that goes down. So you want to call it a ley line? Absolutely. There seems to be a lot of that.
I'm going to here comes the first putting your feet to the fire question.
Back to the feet in the fire.
If you just, you answer this, there's no wrong answer here, but in your humble professional opinion, you're the guy to ask. What's your hunch as to what you really think is happening there? Do you think it's angelic in nature, extraterrestrial in nature, man-made, or just natural? What do you really think's going on there?
Yeah, I don't really think that after, I mean, I've been doing this for, oh my God, so since 2015, so it's been quite a few years. I mean, so you kind of get the feel of something, and I know it's not natural, and I know it's probably, a scientist should never say absolute, right? So I can say it's probably not going to be something naturally occurring. It seems to be something with an intelligence, something that knows of you, the area, what you're going on in your life, what's going on in your head. People have these very profound experiences, and these experiences that go into these things could actually get very, very wound up. We have little bio watches that we put on people that when they go to these areas, and it really starts going off, like their tremors start going, and their heart rate goes, and their blood pressure increases, because they're having something going on. So to create that, there has to be some external intelligence doing that. And so we've had a lot of data collected that shows that when people are in the environments and things like that, something hooks up with them. Either it's something from another dimension, or it's something from another, say another planet, or it could be anything that as mundane as it's just some energy that has the ability to link up with us. But it gets inside of these people, and that's when they start having these experiences. They can literally talk to people from the distant past or in the future. I mean, hundreds of years in the future. And so, is that something that's intelligent? Is it from this earth? It doesn't seem to be. Is it extraterrestrial? Who knows? But it's definitely here. The energy is here. And, when you actually start looking at it and collecting data and charting it and going through all the stuff, you say, wow, this is really real.
Anything there ever actually scare you?
So it does in some extent, because people report that they see these creatures, and it's probably something they manifest within themselves to respond to whatever experiences they're having. Your brain has a habit of trying to make sense of stuff, right? I mean, we do that, right? So we walk into a dark room that we've never been into. Our brain goes crazy and start inventing all these crazy things. But once they start really understanding what's going on, it's much, much better. And that's what we started the study to do, is to do two things: to collect scientific data so we can understand what this phenomena is, and also to support the experiencers out there that are having a hard time dealing with the experiences that they're having. There are some people that literally will not leave their house when they feel that there's some onset of something happening, because they can drop into a catatonic state, or they can, just have incredible mood swings or personality changes, and they just don't want to have that in the open, so they stay home. So what we do is we have a lot of support groups. We have a lot of people that support these experiencers. We have hundreds and hundreds of people that now rely on us, and they actually learn how to cope with this thing. So it becomes part of their life. It's like, it's like you have it just becomes part of your life. You have something on your body. It grew there and it's okay. It's some appendage that they've developed that they just learn to live with. And some people actually start relying on it and understanding that this is something that is sometimes very, very good for them. It's teaching them. It wants to show them things. But there's those people that feel that it's a intrusion, and it's malevolent, and it's doing bad things to them. So lots of people take it different ways, but most of the time, I'd say, 80% and higher, people find it euphoric and very, very enlightening to have these experiences. And they walk away feeling amazing.
Yeah, it's interesting. Earlier, you had mentioned, what we conjure up in our own minds. I won't go out on a case unless I've had, a couple of really good back-to-back good nights sleep. I have no cold. I'm happy. I may watch a string of comedy shows before I leave the house, so that I'm just happy and in a very good mood. Um, because I do find that these high energy paranormal supernatural type locations, they they're either feeding off of that or they're amplifying your mood um
Yep.
when you're there. And so if you're not careful and you go there and you're not prepared, yeah, it can do tricks on you. What The last thing somebody wants at their home is a crazy exorcist. So I go probably twice a year, sometimes three times a year. I will talk to a friend of mine who's known me all my life, who's a psychologist, and another friend who's also known me all my life, who's a psychiatrist. And we just talk an hour, 2 hours, whenever we get together. And it seems like it's just a conversation, but I know they're checking me out to make sure I'm not crazy. Who
Right.
do you do that? Do you go to anybody, or can you
We have,
diagnose yourself? I know you're a
yeah,
PhD.
we have people that do that now. So there's probably, I'd say we have 10, probably more than that. So almost 20 people that we have that we've associated with that are longtime experiencers that are in our support group. So we have people that actually will contact our people that are in the study and work with them and get them through this thing. So, they'll say, okay, what's going on? What do you feel? What is the data that looks like that you're collecting? When do you have these onsets? Where are you? What kind? I mean, so you think of the word experiences. I mean, and it spans so many things. They can see objects, they can see uh, creatures, they can see UFOs, they can see orbs. I mean, there's a whole slew of different things that you can categorize as experiencing. But the bottom line is that they have something that is out of the norm of their daily life, and they want to talk to somebody. So, we work with a lot of groups like the Unhidden group that's out of England, where they have a lot of support. They have actually clinical support for these people that are having tough times dealing with it. So we've hooked up with these people, and now that anybody that comes into our study have access to all of that. They not only will be getting the reports and the alerts, not the alerts, but it's kind of like the indications that there's some increase in activity in their particular situation. But then on top of that, they're actually have access to people to talk to.
I've
I
been
got a
blessed. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Annette.
I got a question from the chat room asking the nearest town or city to that area, Skinwalker and Blank Frog.
So Vernal is right smack in the middle. If you go to Vernal, Utah, and you Google Earth that, you can see it, and it's kind of funny. It's desolate. It looks like it's like just all desert, and but every once in a while you have these things pop up, and when you have that, there's people come together, and they have these crazy experiences that they're trying to contend with. But Vernal, Utah is a very close proximity to that area.
Okay. You know what's interesting? It made me think of a couple of times in my life that right before something paranormal happened, I felt the energy change. I
Yeah.
felt like everything went still,
Right.
silent. It felt like a different
Yes,
energy.
silent. Yes.
Yes, all of
That
a
is
sudden,
so common, right?
even outside, no more crickets, no more wind,
No
no
more
more
birds.
anything. Right,
And then all of a sudden the experience hits,
right,
and it goes away after that, and then
right.
everything comes back again. So that's so common. And then you have to ask yourself why. Why is that happening? And it could very well be that whatever this phenomena is, it's actually getting into you, and it's your subconscious is so focused on that communication that it's getting that it basically turns off a lot of its senses. So I mean, it's because you can have somebody standing 20 feet away that said, I didn't hear anything different, everything was fine, but you
Right.
specifically. So your energies are getting kind of gathered up inside of you, and then they have these very profound experiences, and then they find out, well, I didn't hear, the crickets went away, the birds went away, the
Right.
wind stopped. I mean, it's like
Right.
this real big thing happened in nature.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And we've had a lot of people talk about things being interdimensional.
Yep.
And then that makes me think maybe one layer of dimension or reality is blending into another one. And that's when that silence occurs. That's like this
You're entering
transitory.
another dimension. Yeah, it's very possible. So that kind of gets into the following through, kind of understanding what the source of this thing is, and things like that. But it's very possible that you move you move a little bit into another dimension, because that's where the best communication is with this phenomena. They live in another dimension. You kind of like slide over a bit to get that, and you kind of lose all that external stuff, and you're just really focusing on that. So that's very possible.
Jim, what makes me able to do what I do, and I don't know if you could call it successful at what I do. It's not so much being successful as just being able to help people. I'll go with that. Is the support of my wife. Your wife seems to be very nice. I hope to get the chance
She's
to meet her
very
one
nice.
day.
He organizes
Um,
everything, the whole
She's so
study,
nice.
everything.
what does she think about all of this and you and your research and the paranormal field and
Uh,
all that? How does she feel?
Well, at first, she was very skeptical about this whole subject when I got back, I got into it, back in 2015. She says, "Oh, that's just because she was brought up religious, very religious, and of course, that that has its norms buried deep into somebody's. You have to see things and touch things, and it has to, it's only about this particular thing, but." As she saw more and more, it became evident to her that these people are actually having these experiences. This is not something they're making up, and we have a lot of data that shows that these people are not just manifesting this stuff in their head. There's actually something happening in the environment that indicates something entered their body, some energy entered their body, whether you want to call it the ley line energy or whatever it is. Something's entering their body, and she starts to say, oh, wait a minute, maybe and she does this all the time. Wait a minute. When I was a little kid, I had this dream, and it came true. And I heard, so everybody does that I see. They say, wait a minute, was that a real experience that I ever had, that I had? And people can go back in their lives, and they say, yeah, that is something that is a experience that I had. And a lot of times people don't have anything until some trigger point, like they'll have like some sickness where their temperature would spike, or they would have some something go on in their life, some big stressor that went in their life, and then everything after that they start having these experiences, and then they have lots of experiences following that. So a lot of people will say, when I was 15, I was injured in a car accident and I hit my head, and ever since then I had these profound experiences. And that's so typical. I'd say probably 30 or 40% of the people that actually come into the study. And we ask everybody to take a very small survey. Well, not small, it's pretty in depth, but we look at what they're saying, and a lot of people say that they had some point in time in their life where they kick off, and all of a sudden right after that they just have experience after experience, like once a month or once every couple of months. And my wife is like that, so she goes back and says, yeah, I think I've had this all along.
Yeah,
Well, it's
absolutely.
interesting too because with our kids, and I'm an experiencer, but even with me, with my kids, it would be, well, you were probably, just dreaming. You could go back to sleep. You're safe. Just to quiet down a child and get them to feel like I'm okay here, you know. But I think that when we're children, that's when we're the most open to, I hate the word psychic. I like extrasensory perception, better old school way of saying it. And then, like you're saying, people, especially NDEs, people that had a near-death experience,
Sure,
and then
100%.
after that, it seems to have opened a little door with them that they're not able to really close again.
So I've been working with a forensic neurologist on this subject, exact subject of this. Why do people all of a sudden have this thing happen to them? And it seems that when they, as you grow up, we've all, gone through the system, right? We went to school, we went, had our parents, we went to school, we went to college, we went out into society, and all of these norms and these values get, pushed on us, and we stack them up, stack them up, stack them up. And then that's the filters that we use to rationalize things when we see something, right? So that's kind of what our whole thing is. But when people get injured, or little children that don't have all that stuff, they're just open to it. They're just like wide open. Stuff just flows in. They accept it. So and when people get injured, it's almost like their brain gets a little reset, and a lot of those things get washed away. Or there's they have this whole thing where they have it's like this hardening that happens in your head, and when they have these injuries, that hardens, softens up, and a lot more possibilities enter their mind. So they become more creative. They do a lot of extra things. They, become a different person. But I think you're 100% correct that children are much more open to having this. They just can't rationalize it,
Right.
or visualize it, or verbalize it as well as an adult does. But they're better than we are.
Right.
Do you mind, Jim, if I don't even know if you're into this topic. Do you mind if I ask you a couple of extraterrestrial based questions?
Absolutely. Sure. Go ahead.
I got two questions lined up for you, and I think I got these from fans and friends of yours.
Okay.
Um, Actually, this one is not, but I have a very gifted psychic medium friend of mine that I've known feels like forever. She's been pretty spot on with her predictions, and she recently predicted that in 6 years we're going to have major, full blown, over the top disclosure, and it could either be in the form of finally the aliens just coming down and landing on the planet and saying, "Hey, we're here,"
Yep.
or somebody like the head of Space Force or the head of NASA or the president will actually finally come out and give us some disclosure. Uh, when I throw that at you, what do you think?
I think that there's going to be a point of time in our future where we're going to know the answers. Is it going to be in 6 years? I don't know. But I think that we're inching up on it. And I think the more people that get involved in the studies to understand what it is, it's starting to, science is incremental, right? So you learn a little bit, learn a little bit. So, and then it just cascades, it gets bigger and bigger. So, 6 years, it might be we have a revelation in 6 years where we say, okay, I understand how to talk to these things now. That's part of what we do in our study, is learning what the communication vehicle is that this phenomenon is talking to us. And then we want to talk back to it. If we can talk back to it and get it to respond, that's a major event. I mean, that means that there's something out there physical. And then you can ask a question. It's like, where are you? Where are you from?
Yeah.
Are you far, far away? Are you hundreds of light years away? Or are you just part of the universe? Are you, whatever you are? So that is a major step. And that could be very well how it happens. We might not get visited. We might not see evidence of being visited profoundly like, people think, but we might see what these civilizations out there are sending to collect data, from us. And that's what maybe what the orbs are. Orbs are just like these little probes that they send down to, see how you doing, guys. That's very possible. And why experiencers seems because I think that they're open to that, and they have the ability to see these dimensional things that come from other space-time metrics, or however they come from. So I'm not, I'm not, wouldn't be surprised if in some years from now, very soon, that we would have a major breakthrough that says, okay, now I know they're really there. Now, how do we talk to them? How do we communicate? What do we do? And that kind of thing.
Do you think we've come far from the old war of the worlds mentality, where if, let's just say, they came down and landed and we come in peace, yada yada, that we're beyond that, or do you think humanity is still capable of a total freak out?
Yeah, so I think hopefully what will happen is that it won't be this like they land, they step out of the craft and they're here. It's more going to be, I've sensed that they've communicated with us in some regard, and communications could be handled a lot easier for people. They say, well, you know, I'm not dealing with, you know, my own internal psyche telling me things. I'm dealing with something else. I think people would accept that more, but you know, you never know. It's very possible that that could be the outcome, but you have to hope that who's ever out there that want to talk to us, they've been talking to us for years. I mean, hundreds of years and thousands of years. So nothing is really bad has happened that we know of. So you would assume that it's going to continue like that, and we're going to get better at knowing, understanding what they're saying, so we can communicate with them.
I'm
Well,
kind of at the opposite end of the spectrum because I think people that are waiting for disclosure, and if they ever came right out and said it, that a lot of us would just be like, really?
Yeah.
Anybody that doesn't believe in it at this point just doesn't want to, I think, because there's so much out there. And especially in this day and age where we all have a video camera in our pocket.
Oh my God! Yeah, you get so much data, and we have so many pictures of orbs and crafts
Right.
and these creatures, and it's like it's to the point where if you don't believe, then you're really, yeah, exactly what you said. You're just shutting it off. You're saying, look,
Right.
I'm just never going to believe. I don't want to believe because
Right.
it's not going to be healthy for me.
I'm on the fence. I think that either have always been here, or we're gonna, they're visiting. I just find it crazy that if we have these spaceships that come here and crash, these extraterrestrials are advanced enough to travel from their world to our world. Why do they crash when they get here?
That's crazy, right? Yeah, it
I,
doesn't make sense.
yeah, I always think that's so
Yeah,
weird. Well, listen, I don't want to run out of time this visit without you getting into some of your research. I would like to know some of the phenomena that you've experienced that has blown your mind, and the research you're putting into it, and what results you may have at this time.
sure. I mean, I would love to tell your audience what we're doing. It's all stems from a research project that I was put on back in 2015, where the hypothesis was is that people that have experiences are not having experiences because they manifest them within themselves. They have experiences because some trigger from external trigger from the outside, some environmental trigger is actually prompting their brains to have these experiences, and then their brains, of course, take over from there and actually create all the detail. But there's some external force or some external mechanism that's actually creating that. So we went out to see if that is a true hypothesis, and we ran experiments for many years, and we found that there is a high probability that a lot of the information or a lot of the experiences people have, seeing crafts or seeing orbs, seeing these lizard creatures or whatever you want to call them, is something that happens outside of the body, and you are reacting to the body. And of course, I'm not saying that we're not talking back to this, whatever this thing is that's communicating with us. All I'm saying is that we're not making this stuff up in our heads. We're actually, somebody is telling us, or some entities telling us to see this vision, and that's why we have these visions. And now what, 50% of the over 50% of the population of the world have admitted that they've had these experiences. So it's not just a couple people. I mean, it's half the population of the world has had some experience in one form or another. So it's here. So we said, okay, we first of all wanted to understand, is it something that's happening, internal? And we showed within high probability that it's external. So we said, okay, can we find origins, or can we work with these people to really help them understand why they're having this thing? Why are they singled out? Why are they having these specific ones? So we designed a study that allowed people to monitor their environment, look at the outside world, and have some kind of data flow where they can see that, in fact, when they have their profound experiences, something is changing in the environment, and there's a lot of, you know, there's a lot of times when they have these experiences that the environmental signals won't go crazy. And then, actually, at this point, I think it's kind of like I'd love to share my screen.
Sure.
Sure.
So I'm going to just share a window. So one of the things that I'd like to show you is this screen right here. Am I sharing? You can see
I
it?
see it. Maybe you
A
have
white
to.
thing with some
Here, I'm gonna click add to stage and see if it comes
Yeah.
up.
Oh, perfect.
There we
There we
go.
go.
Yeah, and you can see my mouse. So one of the things you have to realize is that, we have instruments. If you look at like your blood pressure or your heart rate, and you look at it over a time scale, like over 10 minutes, you can draw a line and you can see it jiggling back and forth, and you can see how your heart rate changes or your breathing changes or whatever. We also monitor everything else, like what is the electromagnetic energy in your environment. And maybe this line here, this top green line here, is the electromagnetic energy. But sometimes when people report to us that they're having experiences, that very calm line that just shows the everyday electromagnetic energy that's in your environment, all of a sudden starts shaking like crazy. And at the same time, they're having experiences. Like, take a look at this one down here. This is the actual this is the microwave signals that are in your environment, right? Everybody knows what those are, right? The
Yeah.
stuff that comes out of your cell phone, the stuff that comes out of your microwave oven. All that stuff is so small. It's in this bottom line here. It's just jiggling around all day long. But all of a sudden, people will have these enormous spikes like this. And at
Wow.
the same time, they will report that they're having, some kind of experience that they weren't expecting, something that you're actually seeing. They're having some communication from the future or from the past. They're seeing people from their past or something like that. So this is the data that we gather. We give people instrumentation that allows them to record this stuff in full time, 24 hours a day in the background. They don't even know what's going on. Basically, they just have these devices that they either wear on their wrist or they have on their kitchen table or something like that, just sits there and reads. And then they have the ability to tell us what's going on in their life. So these people report to us constantly what's going on. So we formed a study where they can have a device, and it basically we have a sponsor that actually pays for all this equipment, and they actually give us the money to equip these. Right now we have over 300 people now in the study.
Wow.
Yep, it's growing so fast. Where all day long it just sits there and records, and they tell us what's going on, and then we can give them reports and tell them how their things are going. When they have these profound experiences, well, we just saw a spike in your electromagnetic spectrum, or we saw a spike, in this spectrum. And I can actually, if you don't mind, I'll switch to another screen where I can kind of show you how we collect this information. And I'll share this screen with you. This is actual live data that's coming from one of the many devices that are out there. So this is the data. So if you might have to click on that too. So this is an actual screen of a portal that has, real-time data. You can see as I click this, it's actually moving across the screen. It's actually, picking up more and more. And like, this is the RF, this is like the microwave data. And this might be the gamma ray data. This might be the electromagnetic spectrum. So we're picking this up constantly all day long. We're just reading over and over again. And then we can switch to, like, this is a real-time view where we're taking imagery from a camera, like an infrared camera that's sitting in their house, and then we're looking at all this stuff. And then they have observations that they make, and they put all of these observations in. So this is what we're gathering all day long, and they're actually going in and entering all these incidences into their system. And what we do is we take all that information on a daily basis, and we report to them. It says, a few days ago, you reported that you had this enormous experience as well. I want to let you know that at that exact moment, you had an incredible spike in your electromagnetic spectrum or your gamma spectrum or your dose rate or something like that. And it gives these people the ability to rationalize and kind of get to grow accustomed to this and knowing that it's not coming from within their head, but it's really coming from some external source that they can use to understand what's going on. And it makes people feel much better. And, when, like I said, when you walk into a dark room the first time and you get a little scared, right? Your hair stands up on the back of your neck and, you get a little scared, apprehensive to go in. But the second time you go into that room, well, it's not that bad because you know it's there and you get used to it. And people just have the ability to get used to these things, but we provide them the tools that allow them to get used to really gain a little bit of control on their experiences. And then of course, we allow them to have people that they can talk to. So they can go and they can request to talk to one of our experts that know how to deal with this stuff. And, it's one of those things where people just rise up and love this, and they don't want to live without it. And in fact, I'll tell you a very interesting story. So the first study that we did, we called that study 1, was done from 2018 to 2020 or something like that. And during that time, we had not so many people. We only had 35 people in the study. And then we did it for 3 or 4 years, and we collected a bunch of data, and then we sent them a note. We said, we really appreciate it. We're going to write our reports and things like that. You can keep the devices, but we're going to, basically shut down the study. And they got very, very upset. They were like, oh my God, you can't do that. This becomes such a big part of our lives. And it helps us, and not just these individuals, their families actually use this to basically deal with these experiences that these families are having and these people are having. So, that then prompted me to say, well, I can't shut this down. So, in fact, one of the people in the first study that really, really was helped is a sponsor now for the people in this study. So, and the sponsor called me up, like, I don't know, like a year ago, and said, I want to provide the funding for anybody that needs to have help getting through their experiences, to have these devices, to get on the system, to get their own portal so they can live with this stuff. So that's the study that we have right now going on, that anybody that wants to join, luckily we've had people from literally all over the world. It's amazing.
Wow.
So we have people in Australia, people in England, people in Ireland. We have people in South America. We just got somebody from France so we're in 15 different countries now. We're all over the United States, obviously. We're in 15 different countries, a lot of Australia, and it's becoming quite a thing that people it's become part of their lives. They get upset when they can't get through their portal. I want to check my portal every day. I want to see what's going on. I want to see if I got any alerts. I want to see if anything's been happening. So,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
What is the monitoring device? Is it something that you wear?
Yeah, let me show you. It's in fact, I wonder if you don't mind, I can share a where is it?
And are most of these people experiencing like ghost phenomena, or all different kinds?
Full spectrum. So they're either seeing UFOs.
Awake and asleep, or mostly just awake?
Oh, both. They can have visions while they're and that's the reason for the watch, because they could be at school, they could be at work, and then they would just all of a sudden they would have this profound experience, and we wanted to be able to capture as many of that in there, and they're basically where they're having the most profound experiences. So this is a page. In fact, if you don't mind, I'm going to put this in the chat.
Yeah, I want to. If there's somebody out there that what you're saying is really resonating with them, and they'd like to be a part of that study, how can they reach out to you?
So there is I just popped it in there. So in our private chat, I guess you can post it on your. It's this is the URL for this thing, and this basically explains all of the information. So this is one of the devices that you get. So this is one of the tabletop device, which just sits there all day long, and it just monitors and it just looks at your, your environmental signals. We also have a watch that we have that people put on their wrist. The battery lasts like 3 or 4 days. They can just like go out, do their thing, and it records all day long. It comes with a application on their smartphone, so they can get all the data. So I can actually show you some of that. This is the Bio Watch. So it's got an application on your phone that you can put all this stuff, and it records all sorts of great stuff. It records heart rate, muscle tremors, which tells you how anxious you are, how nervous you are. It has all the microwave, the gamma ray stuff. It has all that stuff that you'd expect to be reading. And then of course there's the bigger device, which is the one that sits on your tabletop, that has all of these sensors in it that you can. And again, these what we do is when people sign up, they actually, let me go back to the study. When they sign up, they go through a process, and the process basically is you enroll, you submit your application, we look at it and make sure everything's cool, and then you complete a survey. The survey is basically designed to prime our investigative engines that look at your particular case to see what you're going through, what you're doing. So we ask 35 questions that you 35 questions that basically tell us a lot about your particular case. Then you select a device. You just sign to make sure you don't throw it in the garbage as soon as you get it, and you basically get going at that point. And
this is the website is there at the bottom.
Yeah. So here, it's in the chat right there. So can I go over to the comments and put that in there? I guess I could do that. No, I can't. I don't know where else to put it.
That's okay. I'll make sure everybody knows. You can put it in the...
I put it in the private chat, if that's okay.
That's fine. That's fine, yeah. People will find you. And I'll also do it, too. If you want to send me an email as to that location, I'll make an announcement, too, on all my social media places where people can reach out to you.
I was going to actually put it in the comments, but I don't think...
How many paranormal experiences per week, month, etc. is interesting to you?
So if it's often, it's probably something that is not going to be relevant data. It's really like once every probably month, 3 weeks, month. Some people will go. It's very strange. It kind of follows a pattern. There's a lot of activity in certain periods of time, then it falls off. It's almost like it follows some kind of a calendar. So it's like in the summertime, it gets very, very heavy. So you might get 1 or 2 a month. But maybe in the wintertime, you don't get as many, but different people are different. So, usually it's 1 or 2 a month, or I would say 1 or 2 a month, in certain times of the year, then it kind of falls off and it picks up.
Because I have things happen, and I also have seen UFOs, especially since I've been here in Oklahoma. But I have paranormal things, and I'm going to say quickly because I don't want to take up the rest of your time. It's really interesting because we live close to a major creek, but then on the other side of our property in the back, there's an Indian burial ground.
Oh, okay.
And so we get all kinds of pictures with big orbs in it and stuff like that. And we were talking the other day about Skinwalker Ranch, and I told them not to ever say that word outside. And it's like, shh. But so there's some independent activity here associated with the land itself.
Okay.
Besides anything else. And UFOs, things that are lights in the sky, blinking white, blinking red, blinking white, blinking red. Don't move. I go in the house and get something to drink, come back out, go to bed. They're still there. They're just there.
Yep.
And some stuff in the house, and some stuff that I think is angelic from prayers. Because if something happens and I get a very good feeling about it, I think that is angelic, or something that's like a prayer answer, or just a way of acknowledging. I always think about how do I feel when something happens? Do I feel threatened? Do I feel okay? Was that malevolent? And because there's an energy around things that you can get used to picking up, and
Oh,
you
sure.
know that there are things that it's like, well, it's just something that happened. It didn't mean anything bad to me.
Very, very, very cool. Jim, I just like the last time you were on here, having you on today has really, I'll be scratching my head the whole rest of the day, just kind of in awe of what you do. And just when I speak to somebody like you, it's just makes me so aware. And I already felt this way, but it just makes me so aware of how not in control we are and how much
Sure.
is going on around us that we still just don't have any clue. Um, I am getting to that point where I gotta kick you out of here. So
Understood.
with the screen just doesn't go blank. But is there anything you would like to throw out there to anybody, or anything you'd like to say or announcements you'd like to make before I gotta kick you out of here?
No, I think that we covered a lot of ground, and I think I encourage people to go to that website, the study two, the MUPA study two, and to read about it, ask questions, send us an info. My wife will get back to you right away. Every morning she does like 100 emails, so she'll get back to you right away and answer any questions, and basically encourage you to get some involvement in this study so you can deal with your experiences.
Very cool, brother. Well, I love you. I respect you. I think you're super cool. I'm gonna beg you to come back after the show. I'll send you some dates.
Sure.
And then anything you'd like to say to Jim before I kick him out of here?
Fascinating, wonderful show. Really enjoyed it. And thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
And thanks to Barbara. She's very sweet with me. I really enjoy her.
You bet. All right, guys.
Jim, God bless you, brother. Have a great weekend.
All
We'll
right.
talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you.
Jim Segala, yeah, he rocks. It's quite impressive. His stuff. You should sign up for that. You definitely. Um, you are going to be pleasantly surprised at who our next guest is going to be. I'm going to make you guess.
I always guess Rick Garden.
Next Friday, July 18th, your favorite psychic medium portrait artist will be here.
Oh, nice. We haven't had her for a while.
About a year. I don't know why it always.
Angela.
Angela Bowley will be here, but keep your fingers crossed we're able to pull this off. She's going to be coming to us live from the old haunted Paul Dean Jail in Ohio,
Ooh,
where they're
very
having a
cool.
big paranormal conference and convention, and she's going to be there doing readings and doing psychic portraits. She's going to do her show for us live from there. So you know how it is in these old locations. You never know how the Wi-Fi is going to be or how the cell signal is going to be. So um, worst case scenario, I already have her tentatively booked exactly a month later if something goes wrong, God forbid, and technical difficulties, we're not able to pull her in. I'll have her back the following month, but I think it's gonna be okay, and we're gonna have a great show. Anything else you'd like to say to your people before I kick you out of here?
No, I'm just looking forward to next week. I really enjoyed the show. I want to thank everyone for listening and wish everybody a great Friday night and a great weekend. Oh,
Absolutely.
there's a mass exorcism happening this weekend.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, they're sending it out throughout the world.
Send me
This
some
is what
send me
some of
some
the.
information on that
Okay,
after the show. I love you. I respect you. Have a great weekend. Give your whole family a big hug for me, and I'll talk to you soon.
thank you so much. I will see you soon.
Good night. Annette Munich, Stellium Books. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that anybody who's watching the show or watches this in replays off of the archives, off of the web, off of the YouTube channel, if this resonates with you, reach out to Jim Segala and his wife and sign up for this study. I want to take a moment to thank everybody that tuned in, because trust me, I know I don't have a show without each and every one of you, and I mean that from the heart. So thank you for tuning in. Our audience is growing leaps and bounds every week. So on that note, I want to thank United Public Radio Network for carrying my show. I want to thank Jim. I want to thank um, everybody that's responsible for making all of this happen. Everybody at UPRN, they're just awesome, and Michelle DeRoche and uh, Joe Montaldo, everybody. The Catholic Church today is celebrating Saint Benedict, so I'm going to offer up the prayer from his medal to each and every one of you that can see me and hear me, in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. May the Holy Cross be my light. May the dragon never be my guide. Begone, Satan. Never tempt me with your vanities. All that pours from you is evil. Drink the poison yourself. Amen. All right, brothers and sisters, I offer up that prayer to each and every one of you who are listening and can see me for protection this weekend. If you're a sponsor, you want to have you or your brand given a live shout out while I'm on air, reach out to me. We can make that happen. I'm looking for sponsors. Stay tuned for Spirit Switchboard with Carrie Lynn Shellhorn. And remember, brothers and sisters, we may have done what the devil said we did, but we are not who the devil says we are. If you're interested in joining a church that accepts everybody, go to usocc.org. If you are feeling a bigger calling than just joining a church and you really want to get closer to God, you might want to look into the Old Catholic Benedictines of Immaculate Mary and become a Benedictine. It's changed my life. And I happen to be the abbot for the Old Catholic Benedictines of Immaculate Mary, so you'd be under me. And I don't know what else to say to all of you, but I love you all. I respect you all. Thank you for tuning in. Have a great, great weekend. God bless you all in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Peace.